Mr. Keith Bears, today, it's dealer's choice. My wife was the dealer.
Oh, I like dealer's choice. We just said, what should we talk about? She happened to be walking by and said, joint bank accounts and prenups. And I love it. I don't even know where to go with this.
We're going to find out.
Let's get into it.
We are just two guys navigating this chapter called midlife. What started as two friends swapping stories that turned into a quest to answer life's biggest questions about this mid-crisis mystery. Join us as we talk it out, laugh through the chaos, and get real about the struggles. This is our podcast. This is our question. Is it menopause or menopause?
Honest question before we start.
Okay.
Did you put your filthy fingers into my drink and pull
Absolutely.
out the 2 ice cubes it gave me? Let me see your cup.
I don't have
I
any.
had 2, you had 3?
I don't have any. They're gone.
How is that possible?
Well, the pop is warm.
It is indeed.
So
Prenups and joint bank
I just
accounts.
went to the washroom. I didn't wash my hands and now I put ice in your cup.
Oh,
You dirty sinner.
urine.
So
trouble.
you're in trouble. You are in. Here's the question of the day. I've had this question happen a lot over the years, and I learned this from actually my cousin who originally started this with me because I didn't even think of this. Should couples, new couples or old couples, have the same bank account?
Yes.
First and foremost.
And no.
Let's say you get married. Actually, it might be two different. It might be two different versions of dating and then marriage.
Dating, no.
I can see two different things.
You're
No.
dating, anything could happen. There's no commitment.
5 years dating.
No.
Okay, so tell me, what's the difference between dating and marriage?
Commitment. A lifetime commitment to each other.
You're such a loser. That doesn't happen anymore. What is the divorce rate? 87% right now.
I understand.
So what is it? And I've had this. We've had this conversation a lot. What does it matter if you're married or not? So does it mean anything? Whether you're dating or whether you're married, what's the only difference? Why is there no commitment when you're dating?
No, that it's a valid point. But finding it, okay, all right. So when's the magic line, Jeff? We go on a first date, second date, third date. You know what? We really like each other. We're committed. We're 6 months into this thing.
Yeah.
Let's share bank accounts. No.
No. I think if you're moving in and you're in one dwelling and you're sharing the bills or things like that, I think that's when you could get to it.
I'm gonna fast forward to what I think is the case, and then we can rewind and disconnect this or dissect it if you want. But here's my deal. I think that the second, I mean, we send, and this is a fun thing. We could do a whole episode on this. Not gay marriage, but straight marriage.
Yeah.
If our wives died tomorrow, I'd marry you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Legally in Canada, I would marry you in a heartbeat. Dude, we could split a house. You can have the master bedroom. You can have the master bedroom.
That's a thing.
We could build a dream house.
Yeah.
We would have a boat. We would have motorcycles.
Yeah.
We would have golf carts and stereo systems.
Yeah.
We'd have the best marriage.
Yeah.
We don't sleep in the same room.
No.
We'd have girls over every night. We don't judge each other.
I
We'd share
fart and
that.
snore.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not attractive to me.
I know,
You
I'm
probably
not.
have ass hair.
I don't
want to
my
know
wife
about
is
it.
with me.
We'd split the grocery bill. I don't even think we'd argue.
We wouldn't split the grocery bill.
You eat more than me?
Well, we would, but you know what? How it would be? It wouldn't be split. It would be. I picked us some. We're gonna have a barbecue tonight.
I grabbed a couple
barbecuing
steaks
some
this week.
on the
And
way.
not
home.
even a game that
Here
you
it is.
play.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I pulled some spaghetti. That's okay. We're gonna have steaks tonight.
Yeah.
Or you know what? Well, let's have spaghetti tonight.
There's
We'll do
something
the-
to be
we'll do-
said.
we'll do the steaks tomorrow
Martians and Venusians. But
Marnutions
the Marnusians. We're gonna
and
coin
rear
that.
cups. We are.
Yeah.
Have a shirt.
Anyway, where I'm going with this is, if in my perfect opinion, and I'm not right by any means, but in my perfect opinion, here's the way it works. If you and I were a couple,
Mhm.
I would look at you and say, here's the thing. Here's our mortgage, our groceries, our vacation fund, our Christmas fund, our taxes, insurance. Here's our monthly nut, which is $5,000 a month.
It's a nut.
Okay. Yes.
$5,000. Okay.
Titmouse. $5,000 a month. Okay. So I would look at you and say, $2,500 into the account. Me, 25.
Mhm.
That covers, I'm talking, that's our That's a monthly contribution towards a vacation fund. That's Christmas money for the kids.
Okay.
$5,000 a month. Here's the problem. If both of us put all of our money, just bam, and it doesn't matter if you make 200 grand a year and I make 30 grand a year. If we all put our money in this account, when it comes time, and this comes down to the dating thing, I want to buy you a diamond ring and surprise you and propose to you at the top of the Eiffel Tower. It's a balancing act. But the point is, I can't hide that from you. I can't buy you a Christmas present without you knowing about it. It's not on our credit card that you don't have access to going, why is Jeff Bright shopping for anal plugs on Amazon?
Do you know what? This brings up a very valid point. We went through a phase where I was against credit cards.
Okay.
1,000%.
Yep.
Probably read a book on financial guruism, how to do it. And the first thing is get rid of your credit cards.
Yeah.
Throw them out. Got rid of them all. Had none. We went for, it was probably a year or two, almost impossible, because everything requires a credit card, whether it be pay the phone bill, pay the whatever. I mean, you can do all that kind of stuff, but it became one of the first things that I went to a conference, and I didn't even think about it. It was a 2-day conference in Toronto. How to book a room. You can't, but you can. Give us $500 cash.
Right.
Okay. It was an inconvenience. It was already a thing. So anyways, but it became a thing. So we went credit cardless for probably 2 years or so. That was the first, and then Christmas came. How do you buy? Because every item goes through the bank account of what you buy. And that was a massive thing. Then we started pulling cash out to go buy these things.
I recently went to a hockey game with my nephews, and as soon as we walked into this huge arena with 55,000 people, big sign in the front door in neon flashing, cashless.
Oh, cashless, yeah.
Not acceptable. I'm like, what? I had $1,000 cash in my hand. Sorry, credit card only. Debit card only. What?
Yeah.
Shit.
It's becoming a thing. It became a thing. So for us, I know it was, we right out of the gate, that's what we did. We combined our bank accounts and just said, let's have one bank account.
How do you buy your wife a Christmas present?
So, well, now we have individual credit cards and all that kind of stuff. So there is that.
So back to where I was at with this is, our monthly nut, you and me were a married couple, is $5,000. I can't say nut.
Well, you can. It's just funny.
Oh.
I'm a little kid.
Our monthly expenditures are $5,000. So $2,500 each. Let's just say we make the same amount of money, $2,500 each. Then you get to have your own account and I get to have my own account. Now I'm going to talk about this because this was true in my previous relationship. This was a true thing. We had our monthly expenditures, just to keep you from giggling, you nut. Is there a...
Yeah, right there. You hit it.
Oh my God. First try. That worked out. Hey, we each $2,500 a month into this, and we don't have to think of everything goes into that joint account. Whatever I have extra goes into mine. Whatever she had extra goes into hers. Now, what she spent hers on was legitimately ice caps, cigarettes. Her ice cap and cigarette habit amounted to $600 a month. Mine did not.
Yeah.
I just didn't have that money. So I was saving, by that rationale, $600 a month. At the end of the first year I had, well, let's call it after 10 months, I had $6,000 saved up. And I looked and said, hey, the boys are going to Vegas this weekend. I'm going to head down.
Yeah.
You want to come with? Do you have any money?
Oy.
Now it's a problem.
Oy.
I have saved $6,000. She has spent it on ice caps and cigarettes.
Okay.
Now here's the problem. My $6,000 is no longer my $6,000, is it?
No.
It's 3 and 3, isn't it?
I was just going to say, so this is where it boils down to the next thing. Yeah. What is,
careful planning? Let me throw this one out, Jeff Bright. You shut your mouth while I say this statement. We're going to a concert tonight. You and me, you're the happy little cute bride that I'm taking with me, okay? I'm only saying this because you're clearly the bitch in our relationship. Clearly. We're going out tonight, okay? And we are...
oh, that's the wrong one.
Yeah. What's the button you press for touching the... There it is.
Can't do it.
Okay, so we're going out. And you say to me, what are we wearing to this outdoor concert? Well, Jeff Bright, here's what I'm wearing. My hoodie, and it's got a pouch in it to carry my stuff in it. And I'm taking an umbrella, calling for rain later. What are you wearing? Just this cute little outfit to show my midriff because you have a nice midriff.
Oh,
I've seen it, Jeff Bright.
Those words have never been said to me in the history of my life.
They have now. It's going to be on YouTube. So Keith Barris says Jeff Bright has a nice midriff.
Feels okay.
Anyway, here's the point. I come prepared. Yeah. I have planned ahead. I have aspirin packed or Advil. I've got an umbrella. I've got whatever it takes. And then we get there. And here's where I'm proud of myself. We get there and it starts raining. And I am thinking to myself, I'm good. I've got my umbrella and my rain jacket and my parka on. And then I look over at my wife who's shivering with her midriff exposed. Ask me how long I'm holding that umbrella and that hoodie for. 0 seconds.
Yep.
Her lack of planning becomes my problem.
I know why. Half.
What?
Half.
Half what?
This boils right down into the next point. It doesn't matter. Now, I agree. You should have a single account for your together things, and you should have a separate thing. Now, we have one account, but we spend whatever we would do.
Right.
But anything like, I think at one time, this is quite a few years ago, we said, if it's over $500, maybe we should just ask the other person, like, should we do something like that? Because maybe we don't need it, or maybe it's something. Okay, this is quite a few years ago we brought that up. But one of the things that was brought to my attention, because 80% of all marriages end in divorce, a bunch of the people I know had that where they had one account, their together account, and then they had separate accounts. Same kind of deal, and it went both ways. The girl had $7 in it, where the guy had $7,000, or vice versa. They did the thing.
Right.
But you know what happens if they get divorced? It doesn't matter.
It's
half.
Yeah.
It's half. It doesn't matter if the guy's got 70 grand.
You know what happens when the guy says I got 70 grand and the wife says I spent it on manis and petties and hairstyles and blah blah.
35 each.
35 each.
That's kind of how I think that's how it works. Now maybe someone's going to say different.
So why not throw it in the same
pot?
But then it becomes arguments because same thing. You said, oh well, if we're going to buy a couch, yeah, of course you have to both discuss it. But what if your wife wants it every Friday night? She's going out to the bar, $100 $500 a month. That's still a $500 expense. You're just signing off on it. She's just allowed.
No.
Can you go buy a new car?
Sure. No.
Can you buy a $500 or $499 DeWalt tool?
Yeah. Now this is another interesting thing. That $100 a night is her entertainment. I may also spend $5,000 on a dirt bike.
So here's a really,
really
really valid point. And this is where it comes down to bittering about money.
I have an answer to all this.
I have been with a woman who spent money on makeup and oh my god, the hair products, conditioner, shampoo,
yeah, the whole
purple, whatever, lavender, beautification. I'm bald. I spend $7 a month on Gillette blades. That's it.
You use Nair?
No. You can't use Nair on your head.
Why not?
Is that
I don't know.
No, you can't. You can use it on your nuts.
I've heard of people doing that. Did you not tell me that story of burned? You told me that story.
No. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it on your scalp, I don't think. I've never tried. It would really burn. I think it would hurt.
But you can do it on your sack
balls.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, that's more sensitive than your head.
All right. I hope TikTok algorithm picks this up. Can you Nair your balls? But
or is it more sensitive than your head?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It would be the skin down there is more sensitive to your head, but I would never put Nair on my head.
Interesting. Well, I don't know what it feels like, so I never did it.
The point is, I spend $0 a year on...
Buy good razors or cheap ones? Like whatever's cheapest?
No, I guess I have the good razor, but my refills, last me. There's no way on God's green earth I spend $100 a year on the top of my head. Sure. I don't need shampoo.
Yeah.
I don't need, any special soap up there. I don't need any products at all. Maybe a razor, but there's no way I spend $100 up here. No haircuts, no nothing. Zero maintenance.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's me, right?
Yep.
Whereas my wife spends
thousands.
Let's say $200 a month on hair product. This is not my current wife, but hair products and conditioner and shampoo and styling and coloring and all that. And I could look and go, oh my God, that's so expensive. You know what she doesn't buy? $200 a month worth of whiskey.
Yeah.
Which I certainly drink. So I don't keep score because it balances out at the end. I don't keep score.
I've been made aware of that about whiskeys and cigars.
How much they cost?
About what I've spent.
Compared
I said,
to shampoo and
what, you
conditioner.
buy $150 worth of shampoo
Nail
bottle?
polish.
Yeah, well, you bought $200 worth of cigars the other day.
Yeah, it's valid.
But I'll never buy I'll never buy more again.
That's the very episode. That's the very episode we're talking about. Is what's fair, what's not fair.
Is that what we're talking about?
This is joint bank accounts.
Oh, joint bank accounts.
Why does it matter what you spend versus what she spent? It balances out.
And I have the whole thing.
It's happiness.
This was something that was brought to my attention. I can't remember exactly who it was that said that. I think I know it was probably my wife's parents or something. But it made really good sense. In a relationship, you are both from 0 to 10, right? You guys are both 0 to 10 levels. When one person is at a 2, the other one should step up to be an 8.
Yep.
And it goes back and forth. So to me, I believe I have followed that rule for the last 15 years or so, where that to me that makes sense to me. Now, in our situation I've been self-employed for 30, 40 years now. And my business is always ebbs and flows. It does the whole thing. So if I'm down, she's up. Hers takes care of it. Or she'll take care of it.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry to interrupt. What happens if you're both at a 3?
Some trouble probably.
No,
happens.
not trouble. Let me answer this for you. You become the 10. She stays the 3.
I would say under normal circumstances, yes.
I have never in any relationship of all time. I agree with you. In a perfect relationship, if one is at a 5, the other is at 10. If the one's at a 2, the other's at the 8. You know what I mean? They balance each other out.
Yeah.
But in any one that I've ever noticed, when I'm low, I want my partner to be high, and she is.
Yeah.
Or has been or whatever, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But if both are, the world's falling apart, it's usually on the men's shoulders to say.
Yeah, I was going to say that because I know for me it was like if I was a 3, I mean she would easily step up.
Yep.
It's a different version than with a guy to step up, but yeah, both to be at a 3, that's a scary position to be in, because then there's going to be the blame game, and then there's going to be a.
I'll also say this, and this is true, and you have to. I'm absolutely making superheroes out of our wives or women in general. If in your situation everything went sour tomorrow, and you were on, the bank is knocking on your door with the letter of repo.
Probably are.
Okay. Well, you are a bit
Probably.
of a bum.
I am.
Here's the point. I promise in that situation to feed your kid and keep the heat on.
Yeah.
Your wife would put on a Tim Hortons uniform and go to work tomorrow. I promise she would. You wouldn't.
Oh, I
There's
know
no
that for sure.
fucking way that you would put on the brown pants and the shirt and work the drive-through at Tim Hortons. That's
2
beneath
reasons. One that won't fit. Guarantee you they don't have a Tim Hortons outfit that.
Yeah.
And 2, I would have a hard time. I would have a hard time picking something that I think I would be justified in doing or be worthwhile
There you go,
doing.
you pride bastard.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
It's not right. It's a downfall for me, but it would definitely be. We've had these weird conversations about that, and it's kind of like it's different in my business because I don't make small increments. Like it's a large, each time.
But here you wouldn't, and this is awful to say, but you wouldn't lower yourself to working the drive-through at Wendy's. You wouldn't for
No,
pride.
that's not true. That's not true
Your
because
wife would.
I've did it before.
Years ago.
Yeah, years ago for sure.
Years ago.
But even now, I honestly don't care.
Yeah, you do.
Now,
yeah, you do.
No,
you
no.
Last
Listen, the last
you
2
know
or
what?
3 years,
Dickhead, you
the
go
last 2 or
work at
3
Burger
years.
King's next week.
Oh.
And you have your kid.
I would. You know why? Because
Free
I
burger
think you get
Whopper.
free burgers. What are you talking about? In a fast food place? I'll be in my heaven. I'll be flipping. I'll be doing it.
Be honest. And I mean, I want you to swallow your pride a little bit here. Fast forward a couple of years, your kid's old enough to drive. He is on lunch break with his friends. He pulls through the drive-through in your Dodge Ram at Subway, and you're the guy making the subs. Is he proud? Does he tell his friends, that's my dad?
Definitely not proud.
We're getting extra ham on our sub.
Definitely not. He might be, though. No. I don't know.
You
No,
wouldn't
probably
even
not.
do it. You would go home that night feeling like a failure. Your wife would go home feeling like I'm putting food on the
It's a
table.
very interesting topic because
It's a whole other episode.
I seriously, in the event that I had to, I would. There's no question.
Of course, do what it takes.
Would I feel good about it? No.
Nope.
Definitely not. After what I've achieved or been through, no. But
Pride.
it's pride.
I don't think women have the pride that men have. I think that they would honestly go to work delivering newspaper door to door.
My wife is the same way. She's
Lemonade
all the
stands.
time, and I always question it. So that there's the difference. I'm like, really? You would go there? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's weird being in business for yourself for so many years because you cannot go work for somebody else.
This is Cosmo Kramer and Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Holding out for management. Holding out for
exactly what it
management.
is,
I've been
yeah.
unemployed for 20 years, but I'm holding out for management.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Like, my wife is she would be, I would go work as a bag lady at Metro if I had to.
Absolutely.
No question about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, don't do that. But
Let's talk about, we started this episode with joint bank accounts and prenups. Let's
so
dip into
prenups is another
for a
thing.
bit.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm just going to
Please
jump
do.
right into it. The interesting thing, when I sit across from my clients and go over their things, the interesting thing is that I look at new relationships as a business, as actually all relationships should be looked at as a business.
Yes,
Because they are.
that's what they are.
I don't care what anybody says. People say, oh no, I love them. They're never going to do.
Great.
Yeah, they are. 1,000% they're going to do that. They are going to, when you two are together, and I've told the story a few times. I had some clients separating. They called me to deal with their situation, and I jumped in and, well, we're not quite ready yet. So I'll call you back in 30 days. Okay. Went back. How's things going? Hey, we're getting there. We're pretty good. We'll call you back in 30 days. We're not quite there. The next 30 days. Well, we're having a little bit of snags, some things. Okay. Call me back in 30 days. Call back in 30 days. So this went on for like 4 or 5 months. And every single month it just got, and after the 5th month is like, well, this bitch is, well, I've hired my own lawyer.
Right.
And now we're going to, and she's the same way. She's like, I ain't talking to him. I don't even want to talk to you because you're a male. So you're out. So it just progressively always got, always kind of got worse. I don't know where I was going with this.
Somebody said this once, and I live by it because I never think of it in the moment when you're starting a new business, starting a relationship, starting anything. It's everything's going to be
being a
perfect.
business. Yeah.
But here's what it comes down to: nothing ever ends well. Otherwise, it wouldn't end at all.
Yeah.
That's
right.
the truth. Nothing
That
ends
is how it
well,
ends.
or it wouldn't end at all.
Yeah.
Right. So, with that said, it's good till it's not good.
Yeah.
And you have to be smart enough to plan for the inevitable. It may happen someday. And most men, there was an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where he's like, it's no problem. Me and my wife, she gets 50% of everything. I wouldn't argue it. She's entitled to half. We built a life together. And the wife looks and says, are you kidding? You
Oh,
will
no.
walk away in a cardboard
Exactly.
box, you piece
Yeah.
of crap, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
holy crap.
Everyone
Because
says that until
when it gets
yeah.
evil, it gets evil.
Yeah.
Even in men, I've been in a business relationship where my partner called me out and said, shotgun clause, bitch.
Yeah.
And they exist. And a shotgun clause, for those who don't know, is, hey, we have a net worth together of $500,000. You're entitled to buy me out. I can buy you out. We're just going to give each other a dollar figure. So, Jeff, let's say that you and I have been married for 20 years and we have a mortgage that's paid off for $1 million.
Yep.
And we have 2 vehicles and a summer house and a boat. Our net worth is $1.5 million and
Yep.
we're debt free. Now I come to you and say, we're divorced. Or no, not we're divorcing. I'm going on my own and I want you to pay me out. So the deal is, I'm going to make you an offer. I would like you to give me $500,000 and I'll walk away and we'll never talk about this again. You can look and say, for $501,000, I'll match your deal. What the point is whatever I bring to the table, you have to be willing to match. So it needs to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So where I'm going with this is, we can't. It has to be split down the middle. So if in the case of a prenup, I come to you after all these years and say, I'm taking everything. Is that fair? I get the kids.
What did you say about a prenup?
A prenup is I'm taking everything. But before the marriage, we line it up and say, I want half of everything. Why is that fair?
That's the law.
Right now. That's the law. But so Trump just
fair.
changed it in the States. Your worth, we just met today. Hi, good to meet you. Nice tits.
Nice shoes. Wanna?
I am going to schmooze the socks out of you. But here's what I'm bringing to the relationship. I have I have zero. I have nothing.
Yeah.
You're a millionaire.
Yeah.
You're worth exactly $1 million.
Yeah.
Let's get married and spend the
You don't
next
even
10
have to
years
go
together.
that high. It could just be two genuine people meeting. Buddy's got 50,000 in the bank. He meets a girl has 50,000 in the bank. Doesn't matter. Why did she get half of that?
Well, I'll advocate for the girl here.
Mm-hmm.
Two people with nothing come together and they get married.
Yeah.
All right. They have a kid.
They build a
life
empire.
together. Now, she stays home and has 2 kids, and he goes off and makes $1 million and forms a monster business and has 3 Ferraris. And then they divorce. And she says, I want half of everything. What the hell? I did all the work. Nope, dickhead. I'm going to fight for the woman.
I build
in this
the
case.
lifestyle on that. I understand that situation.
100%. What happened there was there's no way he got those 3 Ferraris and built those things if he had to come home every night at 5 and get the kids to soccer and feed them.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
She was the wind beneath his wings.
Yeah, I don't take anything away from that.
That's a fair. But you have $1 million and I meet you, and then I raise our kids and I blah 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 blah, and then we divorce. The first thing you get to do is you get to keep your $1 million you came into it with.
Yeah.
That's a prenup.
Yeah. Yeah. Can be.
Okay. So walk me through that.
It is whatever. Same idea.
Keep your $1 million, but anything we made further than that, we split.
It does get messy. I think it's messy regardless. And everything that I've had to deal with people that have been through that, it's messy regardless. But it's it can easily be mediated. I've even sat down and mediated some people with that. It's so easy to figure these things out, to move on. What's not easy is the people who just hold resentment and want to fight and just want to win, and they never win. Like even some of I have 2 examples where it went, I think 5, 6, and 7 years, in the courts trying to get what happened in the end? They lost. Okay, one made $17 more than the other
because it's emotional.
So when I look at negotiating, I've always had this rule: you have 3 times you have three situations in negotiating where it goes bad. You have 3
explain that.
So you have three times. So if you have a car for sale and I come and say, hey, I'd like to buy your car, it's $5,000. I'm going to offer you $3,000 for your car.
Step one.
And you say no, $3,500. And I say no. Or say $3,500. I say no, $2,200.
So that's step 2?
Step 2. And then you're going to say, no, that's just way off. I need $3,500. I'm going to say, okay, $2,500.
Step 3.
That's where it stops. You know what happens after that? You get pissy with
Move on.
Well, you get mad.
Of course.
No, I'm not selling my car for $2,500. It's $3,500. Then you start coming up with all these rules and all these, or not rules, but situations and why it should be worth more. And, I don't even want to talk to you. It just gets worse. So now take that and start doing more steps. So each step, do 6, 7,
Can't
8,
get better
9,
from there.
10. It doesn't get better. You will never sell your car to me for nothing. And then if I come back and say, okay, this isn't working, I don't want your car anymore. And I leave. Then I come back 2 weeks later and say, hey, I'd like to buy your car for $2,500.
$6,000.
Yeah. You're not even going to entertain it. It's already gone. So once emotions come into play, which usually takes about 3 times in my situation, It's done. It's done. So when you talk about divorces and things like that, as soon as you are in the courts and it goes back that point, it becomes this massive emotional issue of who wants to win. You know how many times I've heard guys say, I would give up everything. I don't want anything just to see her burn. I'll give up all of my stuff just to see her burn. It's emotions.
And vice versa. I heard about this case where the woman, of course, at the end, she was raising the kids and she decided, I just want to see him go broke.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was in part of their agreement. Yes, I get my child support and my alimony, but he has to pay for half of all sports. So this is I'll cut off my nose to spite my own face.
Yeah.
She put the kid in equestrian lessons. $10,000 a week. Went bankrupt doing it.
Yeah.
And then went to the court and the husband's like, here's my alimony. Here's my child support. Here's the dance outfits and the school lunches and the daycare. But this is above and beyond.
Yeah.
And the court ruled in his favor and said, she's cutting off her nose to spite.
Yeah.
She personally went bankrupt just to watch him burn.
Yeah.
And that happens, and
Yeah.
because it's emotion. But when it comes down to real life dollars and common sense, leave with what you came in with.
I still say it's a business.
It is.
It
That's
should be a
down to,
business
it's a
regardless. I don't care. I didn't mean to interrupt. I don't care what anybody says. Very few, the percentage of people separating nicely is very few.
It doesn't happen.
Very few. Those are the people that can think and that are logic, that have that. Normally, it doesn't work.
Do you know what's funny is I've made this argument many, many times over my life, and I've even recently had looked and said, you know what we should do for a fun Sunday afternoon practice? Just sit down and talk about how do we divide things if we split.
Oh my God.
No, I know.
There's no
Don't
way
even
that's a
talk
fun
about it.
Sunday afternoon.
It would be for you and I if we were business partners.
For us, it would be easy.
It would be so easy.
It'd be so easy.
Because there's no emotions.
Yeah.
Just talk.
So that's
We're allowed to
that's
just
a
talk.
prenup.
That's a prenup.
It's
But here's the thing. Let's say that you and I, well, let's say our podcast business, let's say we had 20 grand invested into this. And just for one afternoon, just for over a couple of whiskeys and a couple of cigars on a fun day when we're in good moods, having a podcast virtually on our boat. And I look and say, hey, we got 20 grand worth of assets. If we ever decided to not do this anymore, how do you want to split this up? Should I get the recorder and the mics? You keep the chairs and the desk. How do you want to do this? You want to just buy them from me? I bet you we'd just figure it out.
You would burn. You would go down with nothing. I would make you. I supplied the heat, the hydro. I cleaned the thing. I dusted the thing.
Cords,
I did all the things. I did all. Legit, it's easy.
These
would be
curtains are going over you.
Easy.
It would be so easy. We would just figure it out.
Oxygen that you have breathed for the last 10 years.
You would buy me out. I'd buy you out. One of us would keep this. One of us would keep that. We would just figure it out.
It wouldn't even be a matter. It'd be just like, let's just sell it.
But here's the point. Forget about finances. Forget about anything else. We'd be able to talk it out.
Yeah.
It would be a civil conversation where here's how to divide it.
And this is funny because I go back to the situation where I had a relative that was going through that went through 7 years of this sort of thing, had a binder of like 7,000 pages of all this stuff. They presented it to the judge. She did her whole thing. Her whole statement was the guy was a piece of trash, didn't know how to cut the grass right, couldn't do anything, he was lazy, went through this whole thing. And the best thing I've ever seen is the judge took both binders that were 52,000 pages, together, threw them out.
Yeah.
Said, here's the law. He gets half, you get half.
Simple. Done. See ya.
This took 7 years. 7 years and what? $80,000 between the two of them. It's unbelievable.
My divorce 20 years ago, 18 or whatever it was. My divorce years and years and years, a couple decades. Because I've been married 7 times.
The second one's coming.
I went into it 10 years the senior.
How did you divorce your second one?
I don't know. The fourth one was a problem. The fifth one was
there'll only be 2.
You're such an asshole. I
can't wait.
I remember at the time,
popcorn
I was 10 years older. At this point, I had a house and I had furniture and I had all these things built up.
Yeah.
And I went to the lawyer and I'm like, but I'm 10 years, these were all mine going into it. And he goes, hey man, you want to keep them? I got you. What do you add it all up? Add up your couch and your TV and your clothes and your mattresses and add them all up. And he's like, what do you got? No, I remember I'm 30 at the time. And what do you got there, Keith? And I'm like, I got 30 grand worth of stuff. And he's like, it's all yours. I'm that good of a lawyer that I can get you all 30 grand worth of it. And I'm like, this is amazing. He goes, it's going to cost you $15,000 in legal fees.
Yeah.
Or be nice. Give her half of everything.
Yeah. Split it and be gone.
I'm like,
and you know what? Then she's happy.
Common sense.
She's not slicing your tires or slitting your throat one night when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
This one, anyway.
Yeah.
It's a valid point. It's a very valid point, and it's
play nice. We would play nice. We would just be able to do things, and that's the very spirit of a prenup. But I think go ahead.
No, I was gonna say with prenups, you know how many people are like, "That's it, I'm done." There's no way I'm going to sign a prenup with you because I can't deal with that.
Good to know now. Why not know now as opposed to 30 years from now?
That's what I always say. I said the same thing is if they don't want to sign a prenup or do something, because prenup essentially is an agreement between two people for whatever reason, for whatever they have. And legit, it could be your family has $10 million that you're going to inherit, and you don't necessarily want me to have that. That's fine.
It's fair.
That's fair. Now, in the event that it happens and we're together and your parents pass, God forbid, and you get the $10 million, I'm hoping that you're going to share it with me. In the event of buying a boat, buying a new car, taking us on vacations, I'm going to enjoy it in our own way together, but it's still your money.
Yeah.
It's still your money. Now, I say that.
No, I mean, I can't imagine those who bank on, I guess because you and I have never been dependent on other people's income to say, geez, I really hope this works out.
We've never, I don't think we've ever got to the point where you've cheated on me either.
Now, that's emotion.
Different story, right? Yeah. So the emotion comes in.
Emotion again. That is now a financial punishment. So if we had a podcast business together with 20 grand worth of assets, and then all of a sudden I turn on TikTok one day and you're filming a podcast with somebody I don't care for.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I tip into, here's an episode of Manopaused and you got Chave Darlton on there smack talking me. I'd be like, what's happening? I don't want a podcast. Manopaused my ass. Stick this up here. You know what I mean? Then I'm gonna be like, I'm out. Right. I don't film with you anymore. I'm gonna spin on all of our. Now I'm gonna call you and say, hey, I'm no longer interested, but I do have money invested in here, and I'm mad at you, and we're never speaking again. Your response would be, no problem. I got Chave to do the episodes with me.
That's so funny as hell.
You would, without thinking about it, you would probably look and go, wow, they've depreciated. Here's a check for $9 grand. See you later. And we'd never speak again.
Yeah.
But I'd have my $9 grand and we'd be gone in separate ways. Done and done.
Like that. We wouldn't
no
have
prenup, no shotgun. That just happens.
Yeah. So
Doc.
Is it a male and female difference of opinions on this?
Emotional reaction versus rational. Is it emotional or is it react? Like is it rational? And the point is, hey, I don't know what the point is.
Be rational. Don't go into it emotional.
Good episode, right? We could talk about this 10 more times.